Sydney Catholic Schools is proud to present So You Want to Be a TV Presenter. Our guest today is such a warm, vibrant and consistent presence on Aussie TV that she can sometimes feel like part of the family. A prominent television presenter, personality and entrepreneur, she's a household name in the Australian entertainment industry. With multiple Logie Awards nominations, she's comfortable with any genre of television, from Saturday Disney to Australia's Funniest Home Videos, The Block, and many more. Success seems to follow her wherever she goes. As a beloved figure in Australian television, admired for her professionalism, authenticity, and genuine connection with audiences, we couldn't be more excited to have this icon in the studio with us.
Please welcome to the studio Shelley Craft. I'm Tony Farley, Executive Director of Sydney Catholic Schools. With me today is our student co-host Estelle from Domremy Catholic College, 5 Doc. Shelley, we couldn't be more thrilled to have you with us here today. So let's start with you as a young girl before television was even thought of in terms of a career. What did you think then about television and people on television?
Look, I think like everyone, and we're now talking back in the early 80s, everyone. So I know fashion has made huge comebacks from the 80s, but as far as television goes, back then it was the only form of entertainment. As a child, you were very lucky to get to go to the movies as such. That's my beautiful Ridgeback, if you can hear honking. There's a delivery truck in the driveway. Don't you love live? Welcome to my house.
What's your Ridgeback's name?
This is Rocco,
Aww.
And I have a new puppy called Rip, who has just arrived, and he's giving him absolute grief.
Is
my apologies.
Is Rip a Ridgeback as well?
He also is. Yes.
Great, okay. Well, we've got context now.
Yeah, thank you. That's why it's a big bark. But yeah, TV to me was one of those things that you got to watch for a couple of hours every night, and definitely on a Saturday morning. So I grew up in Brisbane, and all the local shows had live audiences, so you were able to go up to the studios and sit there and watch television being made. And my parents took us up there a couple of times to do that, and I think that's probably where the spark was ignited, but didn't really have an idea that this could be a job or a career. It just looked like a wonderful, fun place to be. So TV for me was, of course, cartoons on a Saturday morning and good old, Disney movie on a Sunday afternoon.
So when did you start to realise that this might be for you, and how did you pursue that path?
I don't think I ever really did. I wanted to be an actress. TV presenting didn't even really seem like an existing genre. Obviously, there are TV presenters, but it was like you had your newsreaders that were journalists, and then you had the actors, which were obviously on television in the soapies and in the movies. But as far as presenters, they're just the normal people, the boy and girl next door who happen to stand there and have a chat. So that obviously now suits me to a T, but at the start I really thought I wanted to be a film actress or a stage actress.
So how did you go down this other path that you've been on for so long?
I think it was about year 12 when I started doing theatre productions with the school, and I would always change the script a little bit, or on the night I'd have this great idea of new character development, which of course would throw all the other actors that I was working with at the time. And I realised that maybe I'm just more comfortable in my own skin. I'm happy to be me. And I really do believe to this day that is probably what's held me in the best stead in my chosen career, is that I'm really comfortable just being me. A lot of actors love that idea of losing themselves in a character. But for me, I'm just happy being me. And luckily, I found some jobs along the way that are happy to have me as me.
It comes across that way. Have you had any setbacks in your career?
I wouldn't see them ever as setbacks. I've been very lucky, but I've also been in the right place at the right time and given 100% when I had the opportunity. There was a time when I didn't want to work on a travel show anymore. I hosted the Great Outdoors for about 7 years, and can you believe it? I'd had enough of living out of a suitcase and traveling and missing really important events in my friends' and family's lives. So I decided it was time for me to move on from that show, and there wasn't anything else on offer at the time. I had hosted and worked on a few Olympic coverages for Channel 7, some sporting events like the Australian Open and the Melbourne Cup. So I thought perhaps I could work in sport as more of a colour reporter, I suppose, than a specialist. And again, not having a gold medal, nor a veterinary degree, nor being a doctor or a specialist in any area, you really are hunting for those jobs that are just wanting someone who's happy to talk, which, as you can tell, is me. So that was interesting. I thought, all right, well, if that's the end of my run on television, I'll find something else to do. So I was lucky enough that Channel 9 at that point offered me Funniest Home Videos and Domestic Blitz. So I changed networks at that point. But there really was that moment where if this is it and Channel 7 doesn't have anything for me, well, I'll find something else to do. So you could say that was a setback, but obviously in hindsight now, I've been happy with 9 for almost 20 years, and I have had wonderful jobs and wonderful opportunities there. So look, I don't think there's ever setbacks. They are just sliding doors moments or opportunities to reassess what you really want. And when you have a great job and the fear of leaving that maybe would hold you back from making changes, if you're not happy or you've had enough, then you have to be honest with yourself and go, no, it's time to go, and I'll take the leap and see what happens.
So in the midst of this 20-year television career, you've also set up a business and run a successful business. Tell us about that.
I've had a few shots at businesses over the years, and again, things that have just evolved throughout my interests. And I think that's a really important thing to point out, that you are not one or the other. No matter what you decide to do in your life, it's not one thing or another thing. I tried to find out the essence of what it is that I love to do, and that is communicate with people. So whether that came in the way of being a stage actress and communicating through play, or whether that was being a counsellor and communicating that way, my real passion is just connecting with people and sharing stories. So that could have come in a really wide and varied array of careers throughout the world. But for me, it came through television, and that way I'm able to reach a huge audience. But the other jobs that I have created for myself, yes, have been in the way of small businesses. We built an app when I was pregnant with my first daughter, and that was a fashion app. It was well ahead of time. This was back in 2010, and it was showcasing Australian designers on an app, and you could find out where they stocked these certain products or garments. This is before the iconic everybody. So it wasn't hugely successful because there weren't a lot of people using apps at the time. We then had the Builder app, which developed throughout the block, and it's now High Pages that exists around the place as one sort of form or another, a way of finding tradies easily. So very difficult when you're not an app designer or a STEM student. You have to outsource a lot of those skills, and that's where it becomes sort of costly and cost prohibitive in the end. But we were lucky with the Builder app. It was quite successful. I now have my real estate license as well, which was sort of a passion project, really. My husband has a real estate agency here in Byron Bay. Obviously, my work throughout the block has led me to loving real estate in all its forms. And I'm not as an interior designer, but more on the sales side of things. So we now have a great business here in Byron selling real estate, and I get to see lots of beautiful properties and, again, meet lots of wonderful people and help them find their dream homes. I've had a kids band along the way, which was a business. What else have I done? Oh, gosh, many varied careers.
So you're a woman of many, many, many talents. I can definitely see that.
I wouldn't call them talents. I guess I call them passions. I have lots of passions and lots of energy.
It's really cool seeing how you're still able to follow those little passions you have while still working in TV. I really admire that of you.
Thank you, Estelle. Well, as I said, you're not one thing or the other.
Yeah.
We're all very multidimensional, and should you have a career path that you really want to chase, my advice would be find out what the essence of that is. If you love an instrument and you love playing the violin, and to you thought that was about the actual instrument and music, perhaps it might be that audience connection that you're looking for. And heaven forbid one day you can't play that instrument. You need to find what it was that you loved about that process. Was it the music itself? Was it being part of an orchestra? Was it performing? So there's lots of different ways that you could find that passion and use that in a different area.
How do you juggle all of this, Shelley? I mean, there's lots of things going on here.
Well, I don't say that I'm busy. I think that's one of my key learnings from this year. A lot of people say, oh, I'm so busy doing this, I'm so busy doing that. And to me, that makes everything sound like a chore. For me, I say I'm doing lots of wonderful things, and that brings a bit more energy to each project. It makes me aware that I chose to do all these different things and wear many hats, rather than it being something that I'm forced to do or have to do. That idea of identifying yourself as being a busy person doesn't sit well with me, because often you've brought a lot of it on yourself. So I take full responsibility for that and say I'm doing lots of wonderful things.
I think I need to start taking that approach to, year 12. I'm doing all these wonderful things and it's going to be wonderful and I'm going to get through my HSC.
Yeah, and look, perhaps flip the script a little bit on being a student and think of yourself as a business.
Yeah.
What can I do to prepare myself better? What am I bringing to the school today? Am I punctual? Am I prepared? Am I showing initiative? All these things that if you were an employee, you would be expected to bring to work every day. Am I giving 100%? Do I have the energy and the interest in what I'm doing? And as a student, perhaps, I have to go to school. I have to be there. My exams are coming. Think about it as yourself as a business and how can I bring the best to my employer, which is your school.
Absolutely. All right. So I'll take you a little bit back to school, I guess. So how did your days at school prepare you for your career, would you say?
Oh, how did they prepare me for adulthood?
So maybe what subjects did you do that maybe helped you maybe out of school, would you say?
Yes, I will be very honest with you all and say I was not a great student. I loved being at school. I loved the environment, but my commitment to academic learning was a little bit lacking in enthusiasm, which is why I think I can sit here and say it's a great time in your life. Don't throw it away. Embrace every moment. I did core subjects, biology, ancient history, of course, maths in space or maths in society or maths in the shed, whatever you want to call it.
Maths
and
everywhere.
It's still not my greatest asset, I have to say. I'm struggling with year 8 maths with my daughter at the moment. What else did I do? Speech and drama, of course, but really didn't excel in that at the time. Again, a lot of it was more acting rather than just public speaking. I was very good at thinking on my feet. And at the school that I went to for high school, it was very much about contributing to the school community and becoming an adult and free thinking, which I think I'm very grateful for now. At the time, I probably didn't appreciate it as much as I should, but there was lots of avenues. There was lots of extracurriculars, and it really was about finding who I was and what my passions were. And I think besides the subjects themselves, that's probably what prepared me most, was just that idea of being a good employer and good employee is about following the rules and, of course, wearing your uniform correctly. And if you are going to have a hissy fit about something, make sure that you have a structured argument for it.
Yeah. What did you do to get yourself into this industry? How did you put yourself forward?
I took a lot of responsibility for myself. I realised that university probably wasn't going to be the key for me. I was going to do hospitality management because, again, thinking about what my skill base was, I'd seen this fabulous movie, again, an oldie but a goodie, was Tequila Sunrise with Michelle Pfeiffer. And she was a hotelier or a maitre d' at a restaurant, and she basically walked around and greeted people and asked them whether they were having a lovely night. And I thought, this is the job for me. If I can't stick to a script, perhaps I just find a job where I can chat to people. And so that was it. I was off to do hospitality management at the University of Queensland. And I took a gap year, or what ended up being a gap year, and working at Movie World on the Gold Coast as a presenter there. And at the end of the holiday period, they offered me a full-time job, and my parents were kind enough or honest enough to say, yes, we think that's a great idea. Take the year, see where this leads. I did think I would be discovered at that point because they were filming a lot of movies there in the studios. I thought if I hang around the canteen or if I go to, stand out the front long enough, perhaps someone will discover me. That didn't happen. So then I went up to Channel 7 in Brisbane and knocked on the door and basically said, I will do anything. I am here for work experience. I will sweep floors. I will lick envelopes. I'm a hard worker. I don't really know what I'm here for, but I would love to see how television works. And again, they gave me a week of work experience. And 10 years later, I was still working there. So very, very lucky. But again, I took the opportunity. I put myself out there. I could have been turned away at the door, and then I would have gone to Channel 9 and I would have gone to Channel 10 and done the same thing. But having watched that TV show made in the studios when I was young, I sort of felt like I knew Channel 7 and I could just knock on the door because I'd sat in the studio before. So again, it was about trusting myself and really offering them something. I will do anything. I'm not here to be a TV presenter. I'm happy to learn. And if anyone is interested in presenting itself or television, there are so many departments that you could work in. And I do say that TV is a great place for people who don't really belong anywhere else. If you'd like to be an accountant, but don't really think you fit in an accounting firm, well, there's accountants in TV and there's lawyers in TV and there's a marketing department in TV and there's publicity in TV. So whatever industry you think you might like, you'll probably find a department of that in commercial television. And it's a great place for people who don't really, fit the box in their chosen industry.
Yeah.
Shelley, I'm guessing that people who know you very well would describe you as an optimist. Is that the case?
Yes, on most days.
Most days.
Absolutely. Yeah. Look, we all have our moments, don't we? But I do love to find the joy in life, but I've also loved JOMO. I love the joy of missing out. I'm very much a homebody, and I love my own little environment, and maybe that's my star sign. Maybe that's just the fact that when I am out in public, I feel like I'm on, and that's sort of like also presenting myself well for my employer, for my TV shows, for my fellow co-hosts. You can't have a bad day in the public because that's what's going to end up on media these days. So I do like my sanctuary very much.
When you're up on the stage, you've got to do it, but you need some downtime. Look, the other part of what we're hearing here today is that you seem to have a strong sense of control over your life, how you respond to the world, and what you can do in it. Were you born that way, or has that developed over time?
I think I was born that way. I'm the third child, and I know there's books about the first child, the overachiever, the one with all the pressure in the family. My sister was definitely that, and then I have an older brother who, again, very academic, very sporty. Third child, I was kind of left to my own devices, and my parents realised that perhaps, there is other ways. And then my little brother, again, is a much more free spirit than myself. So it sort of goes with being a third child, I think, or maybe that's just my excuse. But yes, it was upon myself. And who else is responsible? No one. So it's up to me to create the life that I want and the world that I want to live in, and the environment that I want to bring, and of course also the vibe that I want to put out there into the world. So it's nobody else's responsibility.
What do you think you've enjoyed most about your career?
Definitely the variety. I've worked on every genre, from kids shows, live sport, game shows, and now of course renovation programs. It's been this wonderful opportunity to explore so many different career paths. When I was on a kids program, we could interview anyone we wanted. So I joined the mounted police. I joined the fireys. We went out. We learned how to be a dentist for a day. So I pretty much, during that period, tried every career that there was, just in case there was something else out there for me. And I think that certainly, again, comes back to the core of what I love to do, is meet people, speak to people. I'm interested in the world, and I try to find new and exciting things to keep myself busy every day.
I think we're ready for the lightning round.
I think so. I'm going to ask you some super quick fire questions, and I'm going to get you to answer as quickly as possible.
Are you ready, Shelley?
Yeah.
Are you just? Would you like to take a deep breath? Yep.
Let's do it.
Okay.
All right. What did you want to be in primary school?
A ski instructor.
What was your first job?
McDonald's.
What's one thing you cannot start your morning without?
Oh, my morning routine is long and varied, but it would be a warm, salted water to rehydrate after 9 hours sleep.
What's the last thing you Googled?
ASHBA, believe it or not, which is some form of education, physical HPE program that they run in schools.
What's your favourite book?
My favourite book is, it's called Ikigai, and it's about the Japanese joy of finding your purpose.
That's very nice. What's your favourite meal?
Pizza, pepperoni.
Describe yourself in 3 words.
Lighthearted, energetic, dedicated.
Dog or cat person?
Tough call, dog.
If you could have a superpower, what would it be?
Sunshine? It's a very gloomy day today.
That's the best one I've ever heard.
Add a bit of sunshine.
It's so good.
And
wow.
Last one, what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail?
Musical theatre.
That's
I can't
it.
sing, I can't dance, but my goodness, I would love to be part of a musical.
They are very fun. I can tell you that myself. I love musical theatre.
Well, there you go. You are a triple threat, Estelle, and that is a wonderful superpower.
Thank you. All right. So I have a few more questions to ask.
Mm-hmm.
So in school, you've told us about the subjects you've done, but what would you say was your favourite?
I loved ancient history, and I thought perhaps at one time archaeology might be for me. Yeah, I had a great teacher, obviously, and she struck a chord with that passion. Just the interest in the world and, of course, ancient civilizations. And then when I went on to work on the travel show, The Great Outdoors, that brought me so much joy and thrill to finally see some of those places that I'd learnt about during school. But definitely ancient history was a big one for me. And I love biology too. No, those two would have been my tops.
I do love biology. I do biology. It's one of my favourites. Looking back, is there anything you would have done a bit differently when you were in school? Like knowing what you know now as a television presenter, is there anything you would have done different back when you were in school?
I don't think so. No, I definitely wouldn't want to go back. Although it was a wonderful time, I'm very, very happy to be an adult, and there's lots of good times coming for all of you. So don't fear growing up at all. It's a fabulous place, adulthood, and you're going to have a wonderful time, but don't rush it either. Mm. I think the joy that I'm getting now of seeing my 2 girls go through school. I have Miller in year 8 and Edie's in year 6, and getting to experience school from the outside and realizing how valuable, how important, but how you can make the most of it is really great for me as a mum. And to make sure that my girls know that this is a really important path in life. And as much as I'm sure you've all said, I just can't see what's the point, there's so much point socially, for your growth, for who you are going to become. And I guess what I said in the beginning of perhaps if you're not really thrilled about being there or enjoying the experience, flip the script a little bit. Think of yourself as a business and what you can bring to the school instead of what the school is supposed to be doing for you.
I think I'm going to go back today, and I think after today, that's my new mindset for the rest of year 12.
Yes, you're an employee.
Flip
Estelle,
the script. Flip the script. I'm going to tell all my friends when I get back to school, flip the script.
I'm going to go back to work and do the same thing. Thank you, Shelley.
Yeah, we're in charge here.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So this is your advice column, Shelley. I'm not sure that you've ever done an advice column before, but just 2 pretty sort of big questions. What's the best piece of advice you have ever received?
I think it would be from my dad. He came up with the just do it, perhaps before Nike, but it's always been his motto was just do it. So there was never, I guess, a thought in my mind that I couldn't do something. And as I said, a 47-year-old woman now, when I was growing up, there still was a little bit, perhaps women can't do this or can't do that. For me, there was never a question. And it was always great advice, I thought, to just do it. And how bad can it be? If it doesn't work, you try again, or you change direction, or you pivot, whatever the terminology is these days. But give everything a go. If you don't enjoy it, move on. If you do enjoy it, keep doing it. Just do it.
Great advice. Just do it. Flip the script and just do it. And what's the best piece of advice you can give, say, for example, aspiring TV presenters?
Well, I don't know if the pathways are quite the same. I don't know if you can just knock on the door and offer yourself up for work experience. There wasn't much OH&S back in those days. And so the risks for networks were small. But I would say if you are interested in TV presenting, make sure that you are comfortable in your own skin. That's the best advice that I can give. In fact, for any career, anywhere, any direction that you want to do, just believe in yourself, love yourself, trust yourself, and realize that there is a place for all of you in the world. You've just got to find out where that best fit is. And it might be different every year, and you might change every year, but you will find plenty of places where you feel like you fit in perfectly. So my best advice would be, after my dad, just do it. Don't overthink it.
Shelley, that is absolutely beautiful advice and so absolutely true. Thanks so much for joining us here today. We've really loved the chat.
Thank you so much for having me. I hope I've inspired you all to just find the joy, trust yourselves, give 100%, and have a good time. Life is there to be taken by the horns. Give it a good shake and make the most of every moment.
And thanks to Estelle from Domremy College. And make sure to visit SES's Facebook and Instagram, where we'll be giving you a sneak peek of what's in store for next time.
To find more about the opportunities Sydney Catholic School provides its students in extracurricular activities and media studies, visit our website www.sydcatholicschools.nsw.edu.au.
God bless.